ministers who were shunted from church to church following clergy sexual misconduct. So, yeah, just pathetic, really, handling of clergy sexual misconduct in the Unitarian Universalist religious community. I'm trying to figure out what time it is here. I got here, it must have been around 9:20. I think my phone died. I heard a little funny beep and I felt a little vibration, and I'm pretty sure that was my phone telling me that the battery died. It's quite cold. It's not like incredibly cold, but it's cold enough to affect batteries. So I'm actually surprised at how few people have shown up today. I mean, I've seen maybe half a dozen or so people show up and go into the church. I would have expected to see more as a rule by this time. So a little unusual how few people are showing up here, but I figure it must be past 10 o'clock. The service starts at 10:30, so it seems like for some reason very few congregants are showing up for the service today. And I see some people coming this way, but I don't know for sure if they're here for the church service or just ordinary passers-by. We'll know soon enough. But basically, turnout seems to be especially low today. I'm trying to think, if I got here at, let's say, 20 past 9, and I've already been protesting for at least 45 minutes or so, then well, it must be well after 10 o'clock. But yeah, maybe still another 20 minutes before the service starts, so there's still time for people to show up, and there's often stragglers. Lots of people show up between 10:30 and 11 kind of thing. Looks like these people are walking straight by, not coming to the service. So yeah, no, I haven't been paying super close attention to who's entering the church, but off the top of my head, I really haven't seen more than about half a dozen or so. It looks like a couple of people here arriving now. This van is almost certainly bringing someone, taxi van. Well, and this guy's face is familiar, so yeah. Okay, so two more people showing up for the service, but I'd say we're under 10 people so far. Now, of course, some people do arrive by car and go in by the back door of the church, but even so, you know, this, in terms of what I normally see of people arriving for church services coming in the front door, we've got a low attendance Sunday today for some reason. Yeah, I'm not going to protest too long today. I see that I'm 20 minutes into the second half hour of the video, so that's like 50 minutes. So I add 50 minutes to 9:20 or so. We're looking at 10 past 10, 10:15, something like that. About another 15 minutes or so before the service starts, and I don't think I'm going to stick around much longer. I think I'm going to go get myself a nice coffee and warm up. But anyway, you know, today I really wanted to concentrate on the incredibly hypocritical double standards exercised by the Unitarian Universalist church. This is the other thing too, is, getting back to the Unitarian Universalist Association accusing me of specifically sexual harassment of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein for criticizing her sodomy fantasy. Well, as I've already pointed out, her sodomy fantasy is much more justifiably described as threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment of someone than my criticism of it is. But this is the interesting thing, is the UUA actually hired a major Canadian law firm to have me served with a cease and desist demand letter making this accusation against me in an effort to intimidate me into removing blog posts that tell the truth about Peace Bank sodomy fantasy. They wanted it to disappear. So here's the thing, is lots of Unitarian Universalist ministers have engaged in behavior that can be much more justifiably described as sexual harassment or defamation or even threatening behavior than my criticism of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's sodomy fantasy. How many of them were ever served a similar cease and desist demand letter by the Unitarian Universalist Association's legal counsel? I would wager none. I would wager that not one single Unitarian Universalist minister who is actually guilty of sexual harassment, who's actually guilty of defamation, who's actually guilty of uttering threats against people, has ever been served a similar cease and desist demand letter, from the Unitarian Universalist Association. No, the ministers that do that kind of thing are protected by the Unitarian Universalist Association. I would like to see some evidence that the Unitarian Universalist Association has ever at any time had a Unitarian Universalist minister served with a similar legal demand letter accusing them of sexual harassment, accusing them of defamation, accusing them of making threats. I doubt that even one exists. Again, just truly outrageous hypocrisy on the part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, going to extreme lengths to protect their ministers from very legitimate public criticism by falsely accusing me of criminal acts. And we're not even talking about the insane blasphemous libel accusation that the UUA made against me in an effort to hide pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. So again, here's the Unitarian Universalist Association hiring a lawyer to accuse me of a criminal act, because blasphemous libel is a criminal act that carries a 2-year jail sentence if you're convicted of it. Why are they accusing me of this criminal act? Because they want my blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who were actually convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape to disappear. They want me to take down the blog posts. They want the evidence of the fact that they have some criminals in their organization to disappear, to be gone, and they're prepared to falsely accuse me of a criminal act in efforts to do that. Now, of course, I didn't remove so much as a comma from my blog post about Unitarian Universalists who were charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, and far from shutting up about it, I actually spoke up about it all that much louder. So that kind of backfired on them. So you got a few more people showing up here, but I still think it's like under a dozen in terms of what I've seen in terms of people showing up and coming in through the front door, and not all of them are church members. So again, it seems like a pretty low turnout this Sunday. A couple of other Sundays earlier in the year, there was actually quite a large turnout, but it was not church members that I was seeing. It was basically apparently visitors, even a small group of non-church members coming to attend a service. So I don't know quite what that was all about, but it looks like today's Sunday service has quite a low attendance. So I got a couple of gentlemen who I can't say I've seen before showing up. Can't say I haven't seen before either, though. They're not like familiar faces. But doesn't mean, oh, there's John in there. Hey, John, how's it going? Oh, you don't look too happy, John. I guess he didn't want to see those picket signs. Looking kind of grumpy this morning, John Inder. And he should be grumpy because he's largely responsible for my being out here with picket signs. There's things, very simple, straightforward things, entirely in line with Unitarian Universalist principles that John Inder could have done to ensure that I didn't even begin my protest, let alone protested for 20 years, or the better part of 20 years, because that's what we're heading towards. We're heading towards the 20th anniversary of the beginning of my protest. It's just over a year away.